There's trouble in paradise for the Russells. All the talk of divorce is making it feel like George and Bertha might not make it to the end of the season. The Gilded Age returned this week with Season 3, Episode 5, and while one Russell is stepping into a new chapter of life through engagement, the other two relationships in the family are crumbling. With Gladys stuck in England, miserable and far from home, it's clear that this arranged marriage isn't working out. She's realizing that her husband, Hector, doesn't really rule Sidmouth Castle. The sinister Lady Sarah, his sister, does. Feeling like a stranger in a cold, judgmental world, Gladys is alone and out of place. Bertha and George's marriage seems to be heading toward the same fate as Alva Belmont and William K. Vanderbilt, the real-life figures they're reportedly based on. The season's central theme of divorce is being slowly fed to us through characters like Mrs. Fane's daughter and Aurora. Is it building toward the shocker of the season? Bertha and George splitting? George is growing increasingly frustrated with Bertha, especially over how she forced Gladys into a marriage for status rather than love. Now that he sees how unhappy Gladys is, George is recognizing Bertha's controlling and selfish nature. Things get worse when Bertha hears about Larry's engagement to Marion and his plans to go to Arizona, all without telling her. Her disappointment was obvious. Bertha craves control, especially over her family, and being left out of such big decisions makes her feel powerless and angry. Meanwhile, George is mentally unraveling. His ambitious railroad project isn't financially viable. Without more funding, he risks losing everything. Enter Alfred Merrick, who owns part of the Central Rail line. George seeks his help, but Merrick refuses to sell. What's intriguing is that Merrick and Bertha instantly hit it off. He flatters her, strokes her ego, and she loves it. The fact that Merrick has never been married also feels like a subtle hint. Could Bertha and Merrick become something more if things fall apart with George? By the end of the episode, George receives a heartbreaking letter from Gladys describing how unhappy she is in England. This confirms everything he feared about Bertha's meddling. He reminds her how he once compared Gladys walking down the aisle to walking toward a guillotine. Bertha insists she can fix it, but George no longer believes her. He warns her that if she goes to England, she shouldn't expect him to be there when she returns. This moment marked a serious breaking point. George is done. The rain-soaked opening shot in England perfectly mirrored the gloomy mood at Sidmouth Castle. Gladys is a fish out of water, lonely, judged, and stuck under Lady Sarah's oppressive rule. Even her trusted maid, Adelheid, is fired, pushing Gladys to her limit. So she writes home. Bertha is now on her way to England, ready to confront Lady Sarah. And if there's anyone who can match Lady Sarah's icy dominance, it's Bertha Russell. This face-off could be legendary, and maybe, just maybe, it'll help repair her strained relationship with Gladys. Peggy's love life took an unexpected turn this episode. Just when we thought Dr. Kirkland was the man, Mr. Fortune shows up with his daughter. Peggy's guilt was written all over her face. Mr. Fortune offers Peggy a new writing opportunity, but his presence clearly makes her uncomfortable. When he insists on traveling with her, things get tense, especially as Dr. Kirkland shows up and the two men get into a confrontation. This was the first time we saw Kirkland actually stand up for Peggy. Could this be a sign he's finally willing to fight for her, even against his own family? Oscar didn't get much screen time this episode, but we did learn that Mrs. Maude Beaton, the woman who scammed him and his family last season, is now working at the Haymarket. That's quite a fall from grace. It seems Oscar may try to get to the bottom of what really happened to the fortune she took. And Larry, now engaged to Marion, shows up to support Oscar, like a true brother-in-law in the making. Following last week's jaw-dropping wedding episode, I was curious if the show could keep up the momentum, and it did, maybe even more so. This was one of the most drama-filled episodes yet, and it's setting up even more tension ahead. Bertha and George remain the emotional core of this season, and if the show sticks to the historical inspiration, a divorce could be inevitable. The writers have planted seeds all season, and it looks like the storm is coming. I really enjoyed how seamlessly the story jumped between America and England. In fact, it reminded me of how Peggy's arc spanned different parts of the country last season. It worked well then, and it works now. Also, the musical choices this episode stood out. When Larry proposed to Marion, the soft, fairy tale-like score reflected their genuine love. In contrast, Gladys's scenes were marked by haunting and melancholic music, symbolizing her deep unhappiness. That contrast really brought their stories to life. So far, Season 3 might just be the best season of The Gilded Age yet. The storytelling is tighter, the drama is deeper, and the stakes are higher. From Bertha and George's crumbling marriage to Peggy's emotional tug-of-war and the looming threat of divorce, it's all incredibly compelling. I can't wait to see what's next.